Welcome to the Crossing Church. This is the version of the Crossing that goes where you go and delivers what you need. Fresh perspectives on faith and Jesus with practical, real-life next steps built in. This is your place to explore faith and experience the life-changing ways of Jesus.
Hi, my name is Nicole. Thank you for being part of the Crossing community from wherever you are today. Now, today is the last part in our Evolving series, talking about a little part of the Bible called Romans 12. And so our verse for today is, "Rejoice with those who rejoice, and mourn with those who mourn." Have you ever found it hard to celebrate when something good happens for someone else? I have. You want to be happy for them, but things bubble up inside of you that make it harder to just be so happy for them. Or have you ever stumbled to know what to do when you have a friend who is hurting, when they are grieving, and you kind of don't know what to do? Well, this week is Mother's Day, and that day is so incredibly complicated. People are rejoicing, people are mourning. Most of us are doing both in some combination, and we feel like we have to either avoid the day entirely or come to it with just a part of ourselves because the pain and joy and confusion of the day is just too much. And so we smile and say, "Happy Mother's Day," and then it's over. What if this day could actually be different for all of us? What if this day could represent an evolution in our lives that would change every day of our lives? I think it's possible, and that's why we are here today. Rejoice with those who rejoice, and mourn with those who mourn. Right now, one of my best friends is in labor. Last month, someone I dearly love and respect admitted that she was in the middle of having a miscarriage. In 1 week, a great guy I know found out that his mom has stage 4 cancer, and then his third baby was born healthy and easily. Yesterday, I talked with friends who both their moms have passed away, so they don't have their moms to celebrate, and they have no kids. And so we were talking about how they just avoid Mother's Day. And yet I know these people. They take such good care of their neighbors and friends and have created amazing community. There are women who care so well for their people, who are trying so hard to make this a beautiful life for the people they love, and no one will ever see what they are doing. I remember on my first couple Mother's Days, I was so exhausted. I was not ready for the brutality of babies. And so for Mother's Day, all I wanted was to be called Aunt Nicole, where I was there, but I wasn't really responsible for anyone. And we tried it, and my family tried to do nice things. But I was like a black hole of need because I was so exhausted and nothing really made me feel fully appreciated. And yet now, just a hug from one of my teenage kids, and I feel like it was probably all worth it. I'm just kidding. It is worth it. I'm saying this to you right now, forever on the internet. It's worth it. Loving people is worth it. But there's something special in this verse. Rejoice with those who rejoice, and mourn with those who mourn. That helps us through all of it. There are days I consider kind of extra forgiveness days that require us to use our forgiveness muscles more, and Mother's Day is one of those days. We each bring a lot of stuff into today, complicated relationships, disappointments, hopes we still carry, and it is easier to just hurt each other because we are all more sensitive. Do you ever wonder why do we even have a Mother's Day? I mean, yes, moms deserve it, but have you ever wondered that? I hadn't until this year, and I'm like halfway through my life, and I never thought to look this up for some reason. So I looked it up, and actually I feel so much better now that I know how it started. So let me share this with you. Mother's Day didn't start in some Hallmark, moms are the best kind of way. It started in just as beautiful and messy and complicated a way as we all still feel about it today. Mother's Day was started by Anna Marie Jarvis in honor of her mom, Anne Marie Jarvis. Now, they look really serious in this picture, But I promise they loved each other. They had happy moments just like anybody else. Anna was one of 13 children, but only 4 of them lived to adulthood. So life was obviously hard. Her mom actually started a series of community service clubs called Mother's Day Work Clubs to improve health for children in their city. And they provided medicine. They provided help for sick moms, parenting classes. They even inspected bottled milk and food designed for kids. They were making progress. But this was just before the Civil War. So when political differences threatened to tear everyone apart, she moved quickly and made a sworn agreement between members that efforts to divide them would be prevented. She said these moms clubs must rise above politics to keep caring for the community. She even started a day called Mother's Friendship Day to bring together neighbors of all beliefs, and it became an annual event for many years. Anna's mom died on May 9th, 1902, at the age of 72, as a hero in her community and a mom to all kinds of people. Her church rang the bell 72 times on that day in her honor. And Anna never forgot a prayer that she heard her mother pray one day. I hope that someone, sometime, will found a memorial Mother's Day commemorating her for the matchless service she renders to humanity in every field of life. She is entitled to it. Isn't that just what we all long for? Someone, sometime, would notice the service, would notice the hard work and love and sacrifice, the patience, the dying to yourself, the joy and the grief, the rejoicing and the mourning. You are entitled to it. Anna decided she would be that someone sometime and started on a mission to create an official Mother's Day in her mom's honor. So Anna, who never married and never had any children herself, she started this day. She wrote hundreds of letters to politicians and philanthropists until one agreed to hold a Mother's Day ceremony in Philadelphia in 1908. And other women obviously got jealous because just a year later, 45 states held celebrations. And then in 1914, President Woodrow Wilson made it a national holiday to be celebrated on the second Sunday in May. And so here we are. But listen to this. 6 years later, by 1920, Anna hated what Mother's Day had turned into. A commercialized day of profit for florists and greeting card companies, which we know nothing about, right? So she boycotted and threatened lawsuits against it and tried to create competing ways to celebrate. And when people tried to use Mother's Day for war fundraising, she protested and she got arrested. She spent all of her money campaigning against this holiday and what it had become. It was supposed to be about honoring mom's legacy and coming together across differences, and instead it was being leveraged for profit and power. But we get to reclaim that. We get to reclaim that legacy now that we know, right? So Anna died in 1948 at the age of 84. She's buried next to her mom. And the bells did ring 84 times at that same church in her honor as well. We will now listen to the bell toll 84 times in honor of Mother's Day. Just kidding. But please feel free to toll a bell for the woman that you love and admire. Just walk around the house with a bell tolling from your phone. It's amazing, right? Mother's Day was started because a woman wanted to honor her mom. Anna, who had no spouse, no kids of her own, 9 of her 12 siblings had died. She became this strong, fierce mother of this holiday because of her mom. Truly, Mother's Day from the beginning is all about all kinds of women with one thing in common, wanting to care for others and make the world a better place. So don't let anyone or anything make you feel disqualified today. Mother's Day is for you. Did you know at one point Jesus likens himself to a mother hen gathering her chicks to protect them? We can all have the power and spirit of mothering and caring and protecting, regardless of who we are or our circumstances. So whether you are a mom of little kids wishing someone would notice how hard you are working, if you've never had kids and you don't plan to, You have chosen to serve the world in a different way. If you are trying desperately to have kids of your own, if you have kids and you're trying desperately to help them through a tough time, if you've lost children, if you've lost your mom, if you're trying to honor your mom even though it's complicated, take heart. This whole day is complicated, always has been, but no one is excluded. So how do we reclaim it? We can all continue the heart of this day by caring for our community too, right? So here in our city, we have this thing called Love Costa Mesa. We do it every year. You can go to thecrossing.com/Love Costa Mesa on May 20th. It's something we've done for years to serve our city. You can sign up for a project if you're nearby. And if you're not nearby, one of the projects is a prayer walk. So even if you're far away from Orange County, you could do a prayer walk alone or with your family on May 20th and pray for your city and live that spirit of Mother's Day. The spirit of Mother's Day is honoring each other too. And so that verse, rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn, it starts to take on a fuller meaning, right? So for the rest of our time, we will talk about the simple process of how we do this. Because today, many of us are rejoicing, but many of us are mourning too. And honestly, I think most of us are doing both in one way or another, right? When we're honest, there's not a single one of us who comes to this moment only happy or only sad. So let's start with rejoicing and mourning are both part of life and blessed by God. You are invited to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn, because these are important parts of being alive. For example, this is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. The Bible is not afraid of celebration or of grief. People are meant to be in the dirt and beauty of life. We will rejoice and we will mourn. Let life affect you. It's okay to be aware of the grief and joy that you feel simultaneously. It's okay to feel grateful and also feel lost and exhausted. I love the verses in 2 Corinthians 6. It says, as servants of God, we commend ourselves in every way, sorrowful, yet always rejoicing, poor, yet making many rich, having nothing and yet possessing everything. That word commend, that word in the original language of Greek, it means to combine, to put together, to stand together, to be made of. We are a combination. We are made of sorrow and joy, even as God's people. Notice, following Jesus doesn't mean we no longer feel sorrow. It just means we also have joy available to us too. Now they're combined, and we get to carry them with us. So the first thing we do is rejoice in and mourn our own experiences. To know that it is okay to both love being a mom and sometimes just wish your car broke down in another city and you have to spend the week in a hotel all by yourself. It's okay to know that it is okay to never want kids and live a totally different purpose from raising a family. And then sometimes you wish you could have that close, sweet relationship with a tiny human. But we've got to be brave and honest about it. The more we know about ourselves and allow both the rejoicing and the mourning in us, the more strength and ability we have to love other people and celebrate and grieve with them too. But this becomes way more possible when we realize that we are not alone, and there is a presence of God that really is with us all the time, who does see every little thing we do, who does celebrate with us and grieve with us. Nothing is wasted with Jesus. Jesus came to earth to experience it all with us. Firsthand, to cry with his friends, to celebrate at weddings and dinner parties, to heal and rejoice with the healed, to mourn with the ones who are suffering. No other idea of God in history has ever known what it's like to be fully human like Jesus does. And now, Jesus' Spirit is available to us, with us, to comfort us and help us, to witness our lives, to leverage every act of love for the most possible good in the world. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. Hear me say this again. Nothing you do is wasted. Every act of love is eternal in some way. Every tear matters to God. Nothing you do is wasted. And that is the solid ground we stand on. That is what we hold on to when we come back to rejoicing with those who rejoice and mourning with those who mourn. Because, can I be honest? Sometimes it's hard to celebrate and rejoice with those who are rejoicing. It should be easy, right, to be happy for someone's good news, but it's not. Congratulating a friend on their kid getting into Harvard, and you're just hoping your kid graduates high school. Yay! Going to a friend's baby shower when you've had a miscarriage this year is brutal. Celebrating with a friend who just got a huge promotion and you're still stuck in a job you don't love, it's no good. How do we celebrate? How do we rejoice with those who rejoice when it is hard? Everything starts with rejoicing and mourning our own experiences first, right? We grab hold of the fact that nothing we do is wasted, and it is good to celebrate and to grieve. Then we move on to other people, and we remove the barriers to celebrating. So the first barrier to remove is just notice what you have, not what you don't. Think about what you're grateful for. When you feel that sting or the weight falling on you when someone tells you their good news, just quickly list 3 things that you're grateful for. And if that's really hard in the moment, keep a list of things you're grateful for in your phone so you can read it and be reminded. The next one is remember who you are, not who you are not. You are a child of God. You have your own race to run, your own life to live. God delights over you. Now, it helps me to have a list of values and affirmations that I know are true of me and remind me where I'm headed so that I can choose into those. I learned this practice from a pastor named Craig Groeschel from Life Church. Here's just a few of my affirmations. And truly, I have these written down in an Evernote for me to read. So it says, Jesus is central to my life. I live to serve, notice, and love him. My voice is unique and necessary. The care and keeping of me is important to me. I love my husband, and I commit to us. My children are creative, self-assured, and connected to God's love and calling on their lives. Christ in me is powerful, strong, and available. Gratitude colors every one of my days. I am actively loving and joyful. With myself and others, I am an encourager. I build people up and believe in them. I see possibilities in today. And when you do feel jealousy and envy, allow it to be an indicator, not a dictator. So when someone tells you something that they are celebrating and you notice jealousy before you feel happy, just notice it and ask why. Okay, what is it I'm longing for? What do I wish I had that they have? Okay, are there any behaviors I can change to get it? Or is this a painful opportunity to bring that desire to God in prayer, again or for the first time? So to recap, remove the barriers to celebration by focusing on what you do have, not what you don't, remembering who you are, not who you aren't, and allowing jealousy to inform you, not guide you. So then how do we rejoice with those who rejoice once some of those barriers are taken down? Well, celebrate all the things, not just the conventional things. We got to stop just celebrating baby showers. We got to do new jobs, promotions, graduations, an A in class, all of it, more celebrations. And then share in their joyful emotions, not just in the information. What I mean is stay in the moment when you're celebrating with someone. Don't try to right-size their celebration or their emotions and point out reasons not to celebrate yet or reasons they shouldn't be quite so happy. Just let there be time of rejoicing. And if you aren't emotional and you don't know what to say, so I asked the AI chat GPT for words to say when you want to celebrate with someone and you don't know what to say. Congratulations! I'm so happy for you. That's great news. You deserve it. This is amazing. You worked hard for this and it's paid off. You earned it. I know how much this means to you. See? The AI's got lots of options for us humans who don't know what to say. So, we increase celebration by celebrating all the things, not just the conventional things, and sharing in their joyful emotions, not just the informational things. Both rejoicing and mourning are part of life, right? And they can happen simultaneously or in close succession. We don't have to fall into the trap of thinking that if we're celebrating one thing, we're somehow not honoring the sorrow or grief of someone else or even in ourselves. But we also need to make space, like honoring levels of space for grief. Grief is a heavy thing. And if we try to ignore it or avoid it, it doesn't go away. There are people hurting and grieving right now, and their grief needs space to breathe so it doesn't suffocate them. So just some ways to help remove the barriers to mourning. Realize that you will feel powerless to make it better. And you are, except you're not because your presence is more powerful than you think. Acknowledge the loss. Be present. Remember that grief and joy are not separate. Do not avoid grief just because you think it will diminish joy. And then, this one's hard. Remember that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. Most people, I do, we dislike crying in front of someone else. So we avoid hard moments because we don't want to get wrapped up in the sad feelings. And I say this lovingly. Get over your discomfort of emotions and be present. Your presence matters. So, remove the barriers to mourning. We'll just keep this simple for ourselves, right? Realize your presence is more powerful than you think. And remember that grief and joy can be simultaneous. And remember that vulnerability is a strength. Which leads us now to how do you mourn with someone? And we'll just keep this simple. It all comes down to showing up. Don't avoid them or the subject, but do be sensitive. Ask if they'd like to talk about it. Offer specific, practical help. Rather than saying something like, let me know if there's anything I can do, try something specific. Send them a Grubhub card right now. Ask if they'd like you to come over and bring coffee or come over and clean their house. Acknowledge the grief and loss and just listen. Match their mood and emotions. So how do we mourn together? It just all comes down to showing up. Make space. We will experience joy and sorrow, and that is an accepted reality. Grief is not wrong, neither is rejoicing. And we rejoice with those who rejoice, and we mourn with those who mourn. Where you are is where you are today, and it's good. We join you in it. Those of you that today is super sweet and you are celebrating, we join you. Those of you that today is pretty tough and you are mourning, we join you. All of us who have a little bit of both, we just acknowledge it. At the end of the day, we all just want to know that we are not alone, that what we do matters, that the love we are trying to express, it's reaching the hearts and the souls of the people who mean the world to us. Even as we celebrate and grieve, we are trying to love each other well. I want to end with an exercise, an evolution. Did you guys know that in the Navy SEALs, when you practice something you've just talked about, when you practice it, it's called an evolution. It's meant to sharpen your skills and make what you learned real. And this just feels like the right way to end our time together. So we all go through seasons of life, even today. You may have all kinds of things going on in your lives, but usually there's an overall feel to how we are, a season. And I want to take a moment to pray for you, whatever season you are in. First, I'll describe the seasons, and then we will pray together. So the seasons, fall, winter, spring, summer. Now, if you are in fall, that means that change is coming, right? You've got things changing. Maybe you've got kids graduating. Maybe you're about to move into a new house. Maybe you're retiring. Fall is about knowing that the way you've been is changing and you It feels like an ending, but you don't know what it's going to turn into next. I think this is the one that I'm in right now. I've got a kid who's graduating high school soon, and it feels like fall. The next one is winter. Winter is all kinds of hard. Winter is so rough, you don't even really know what it's like until you're there. And you think you've had winters until you hit a real heavy one, where there is grief at every turn, and you can't even really see the joy right now. Spring is where new life starts to come. Maybe you're pregnant, you're newly married, you're in a new career, you are the one who's about to start college next year. Spring is about something new is coming or is here. And then summer. Summer is all about grace. You're moving through the world with some ease, and you know it. And it's kind of the season where you've got the best energy to look up and see other people and how they're doing. So in a moment, I want to just pray for each of us, but I want you to think about which one of these best fits you: fall, winter, spring, summer. Mother's Day is for all of us. It was started by a woman who celebrated it by getting arrested and never having kids and never getting married in honor of her mom, who had 13 kids, had to grieve 9 of them. There's so much that goes into this day. So whatever season you're in, I want to pray for you, and I want you just to notice which one you need today. Let's pray. God, thank you for everyone who has watched this video. Every woman, every man, every kid, everyone who has watched this. For all of us watching it right this very moment, Lord, we're all in different seasons. We all rejoice, we all grieve, and a lot of that happens simultaneously. But Lord, right now I want to pray for the people who are in a fall season in their lives. Maybe they're moving to a smaller place after living in a big house for a while. Maybe they have to move from a city that they've really loved living in and have good friends there. Maybe their kids are moving out or graduating high school. Lord, would you comfort us and guide us one step at a time to know where you are taking us next. Give us hope for whatever the next new thing is going to be. Lord, I pray with a heavy heart for the people who are experiencing a winter right now, who've had someone get a really severe diagnosis, who've lost a child, who are riding waves of grief that they do not have words for. I pray that you will comfort them, that they will know that you are like a mother hen who gathers her chicks, that you love and protect them in this time. And I pray that they hold on to you, that you are in it with them, that you know better than anyone what is going on for them, and that you'll help them let just a couple people care for them. God, I pray for the people who are in spring, people who are in labor right now, the people who just found out they were pregnant after trying for a long time, people who are starting a new job, a new adventure, a new endeavor. They're starting a new business, the people who are in spring, who are birthing something new in their lives. I pray you give them strength. I pray you give them focus. I pray you give them a sense that it's okay to have wobbly legs in this new season. And Lord, I pray for the people who are in summer, that they would know it, that they would feel a sense of rest and relaxation. They would take deep breaths and feel gratitude for all of it. This season where grief gets pretty small and rejoicing gets pretty big. And I pray you help them be sensitive to the people around them. Give them eyes to see how they can help people who are in different seasons. Whatever season we're in, God, we offer it to you. We thank you that you guide our steps, and no one is excluded from your love or celebration. You are in all the rejoicing. You are in all the grieving. And we just trust that you're in all of it. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Here is where I lay it down. Every This is my surrender. This is my surrender. Here is where I lay it down. Every lie and every doubt. This is my surrender. Now I'll make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. Now I'll make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to.
And here is where I lay it down, every burden, every crown. This is my surrender, and this is my surrender. And here is where I lay it down, every lie and every doubt. This is my surrender.
Now I'll make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. And now I'll make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. Have your way, Jesus. Shake up the ground for my tradition. Break down the walls for my religion. Your way is better, and your way is better. Shake up the ground for my tradition. Break down the walls for my religion. Your way is better, your way is better. And I will make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. And I will make room for you, yeah, to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. And I will make room. Here is where I lay it down, every burden, every crown. This is my surrender. This is my surrender.